Welcome to the P.A.S. Report podcast. If you're tired of censorship, outraged by government abuses, and thirsty for real insights, then you're in the right place. Get ready, because here, the fight for freedom never ends. Here's your host, Professor Nick Giordano.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the P.A.S. Report podcast. Here's your host, Nick Giordano. I'm glad you could join me today. Make sure that you follow and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Also, visit the P.A.S. Report website, pasreport.com, and share this episode with your family and friends. I have one of the best guests that ever comes on this program. I always enjoy talking to him. It's the host of America at Night, Rich Valdes, nationally syndicated radio host. Rich, welcome to the program. How are you?
Nick, always a pleasure. Thanks for your kind words, brother. Happy to be here.
Well, I mean, there's so much going on. There's so much that we can mock and make fun of. So I just want to start off. Last week, the Democrats held a convention. The Democrat National Committee held a convention. And they start off by acknowledging stolen land that Americans took from Native Americans and indigenous people, saying how we are cruel, we are a system of suppression, we are a racist system. Have Democrats learned anything over the course of the last year?
Well, Nick, they've learned that if they always start with the same thing, if you always start with this one grievance, right? Stolen land, this doesn't belong to you, who really are the natives, then your spiel sounds great. Anybody who bites on that bait and is like, you know what, you're right. This is horrible. They immediately become anti-establishment. They immediately join their club, and now that's the divide and conquer that they were looking for to push to Marxism. Without getting somebody to nibble on that bait, they can't do it. So they've got to use racism, sexism, any type of ism that they can come up with where people feel ostracized. It's us versus them. I'm getting fat. I'm not getting fat because you're eating, that type of thing. That's exactly how they operate.
It's a good point, but at the same time, you have to win elections, which means that you have to appeal to the majority of voters in the United States. And when we look at the United States, there's no doubt our culture has shifted. There's no doubt that culturally we have moved a little bit to the left. The center has moved left. We see that. But Americans seem to be tired of the constant accusations that we're a terrible country, that people are racist, that people are sexist. It seems Americans care more about putting food on the table. They care more about the cost of living, about finding, affordable housing that when you're young, you could actually start off, purchase a home. You don't have to live in your parents' basement. Yet Democrats continue to focus on issues where they're like 15, 20% of people support it, 80% of people against it. Trans in women's sports, you have most people support a school voucher system, school choice. Democrats are against it. You have 80% of Americans. And when I say 80% of Americans, that includes a lot of Democrats as well that support the idea of voter ID. And yet Democrats don't speak to any issue that Americans care about. Instead, they speak to these theoretical concepts that are complete nonsense. I mean, land has been swapped throughout the history of the world. Territory has been taken. And what are they proposing? That, we just say, okay, here's your land back and we're going to move somewhere else. I mean, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, listen, I think your point is solid. And I think there's two things happening at the same time, right? So you've got that. And while you've got people that, our culture, right? The culture, those that lead and drive the culture have moved to the left. The Sydney Sweeney outrage, right? Over the jeans commercial, the Dylan, whatever his name is, Mulvaney with the Bud Light, the trans guy. That stuff is definitely a shift, a cultural shift to the left. However, I would submit to you that we still have seen a very similar shift to the right, where people are saying, you know what, that whole girls and women's sports thing really isn't something I support. I want to be inclusive. I want to be a liberal. I want to be, a good Democrat, but I don't know that I can do that and still support this. And some people took the bait again, and they were like, yeah, you guys are transphobic. While others are going, you know what, that's not for me. And mainly we saw it in this election with President Trump, 2024. Black men were like, I'm not having it. Sorry, I'm not playing this game. I don't like that. Now you're seeing it in D.C. Black men and black women are saying, I don't like crime. I don't like carjackings. We don't like murder, as if you were ever supposed to have liked those things, right? So the idea that we were fed, it's a fake, it's a phony, it's a fraud, and we're seeing people, I think, culture, while those that drive the culture are moving to the left, those that are the culture, we the people, are moving to the right because the right has been championing causes of common sense that make a lot of common sense. So because of that, you see the victories of President Trump and others. And if you look at Trump's posture, I think it says it all. He's figured this out. He used to fight, right? He always fighting. He would come, "Yeah, you're at it, you're fake news." He doesn't fight with anybody now. He just comes out and goes, well, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah. Everything is very smooth. Why? Because he's done all the winning already. And he realizes people are already on board. He's got the polling data. He sees what's happening. He goes in the field. He talks to the cops in D.C. The woman in the White House, I don't know if you saw this clip. There's an Asian woman. She's a reporter in the White House. She's part of the press pool. And they have a quick exchange. And it's her turn to ask a question. She's like, Mr. President. And she says, I just want to thank you personally for a moment. I moved here when I was 23 years old to be a journalist in Washington, D.C., and I got stuck up, put a gun in my face. And she's like, I was afraid. And then the guy hit me with the gun. And she said, all I thought in that moment was I wasn't going to have my family. I was never going to have a family. I was never going to have kids. I was going to lose my mom and my dad. I'd never see my siblings. And she said, I still live in D.C. And she said, and I'm able to thank you for what you're doing because today I'm with child. She was pregnant. She was having a baby. And she was thrilled that there were cops on the street. And you got to think, how bad do things have to get in certain places for people to love, as the left would put it, a police state, right? And they're not. What it is, it really is law and order. It's taking back the natural order of things. And people, it doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter where you were, money, no money. Doesn't matter. People just want to be safe. It's a natural need. And so President Trump's figured out if you give people what they naturally need, what they crave, well, just to give them a good life for prosperity, economic, health, all the areas he's doing this in, safety, people are going to respond. And I think that's why culture is moving, because he's figured out how to talk to the people, very similar to Ronald Reagan, but probably even beyond that, because he opened his own social media company. He was already ahead of the game with being one of the biggest TV stars in reality TV. So I think you put all that together and you get where we are today. And now the left, they're saying crazy things. And I'm going to finish on this point, but I just think it's wild. You and I have been observing politics for a long time. And yesterday I had a conversation with a black guy about my age from Baltimore. He's from the hood. And he, he was telling me, he was like, I said something. I said, the Democrats say the craziest things. And he was like, yeah. He's like, but they don't go viral like Trump does when he says something that's normal. And I said, they do. They go viral every day by their friends, MSNBC, CNN. They pump out all of their crazy to make it seem normal, to make it seem mainstream. And that's why they've been able to succeed. But I tell you, Trump's saying, you're fake news. This has really, really opened the eyes of so many people to realize I'm being lied to. I really don't like that stuff. And I'm going to give this guy a chance.
And let's be honest, Democrats dropped all standards of behavior within our society. They lowered those standards. They took away accountability. And so crime has run rampant. And even Mayor Bowser had to come out and say, what Trump did actually helped. It certainly helped. And I want to talk about President Trump when we get back from a quick break. So everyone hang tight. We'll be right back. Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain and stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Well, discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers. These are the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. They provide maximum benefits. And Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. It doesn't clump, it absorbs fast thanks to its peptide formula. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a brand you could trust. They offer an 800 number for any questions you may have, and then you'll speak to a real person who's there to help. Visit getnativepath.com/PAS and start your transformation today. That's getnativepath.com/PAS. Welcome back to the P.A.S. Report. I got Rich Valdes, always bringing his brilliant mind to the program. And Rich, I want to talk about President Trump for a minute, because I think something that you said was critical. President Trump knows what he wants to do now. He's not as combative as he was in his first administration. Do you think that 4-year period, his off period, where Joe Biden became the president of the United States, do you think that might be the main catalyst? given that you served 4 years. So now you know what the system is all about. You know how to operate. You now have 4 years to plan what you would do differently if you come back into office. Do you think that maybe that 4 year absence was saving grace for him?
I think it's a critical moment, but I really think it's what you just said. I think it was the first 4 years. I think going through, it was riding the bike and scraping your knee and falling down and going, wow, every step I appoint this general, he turns out to be one of them. As soon as you push him farther, I hire this one, I hire that. And he said, wow, and then the ones next to me saying, hire this guy, hire this guy. This guy knows his stuff. This is a good guy. He figured out, no, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to do when I'm building a building. This is what I do. I get my guys. I bring in my people. We cut deals with the bad guys. We cut deals with the mob if you have to make sure I get the concrete poured. He knows how to do this stuff. And now he applied what he knew how to do in this setting. And I think that was the game changer. That and the fact that he had this 4 year lead time of being off to meet more people. I mean, there's nothing. When I got into politics in 2005 in a race for the state assembly, and I met a few people that all won elections. They all told me the same thing. You got to knock on doors. You've got to shake hands and you've got to kiss babies. You got to press the flesh. You got to meet people. Trump put that on steroids and said, I'm going to fill up stadiums then. I'm going to fill up stadiums from every corner of this country to meet as many people as I can so I can be in the same room with these people and they can actually say, I know that guy. I like that guy. I was there. I saw him speak. He's terrific, right? And when people, he did it more than anybody. I can't think of another politician that meets that many people. He's just constantly out there meeting the people. He said, hey, how are you? And when you meet him, you're like, man, I really feel like this guy, I've known him my whole life, right? Because he keeps the brand going. He's really good at what he does because he's genuinely like that. So I think it was that. The first 4 years is really, I think, the one that did it. And then the other part of this answer for your question is getting shot. I think getting shot was a game changer where he was like, hold on a second, what am I doing this for? And I really think he put it in perspective. For me, it was clear. Anybody else can make their own assessments, but I believe that he had a God encounter. I believe that he was like, there's no way people survive something like this.
How can you not? I mean, literally,
yeah.
If he didn't turn his head at the last second, it would be a much different conversation today.
Right. But, there may have been a Trump at some point in life. I don't know. But there may have been a Trump that's like, man, I'm so brilliant. My hair is perfectly coiffed. The wind came. The wind took the aerodynamics of my coif and moved me this way. The bullet went. But he didn't. He was like, God saved me. And I think it was that humility, that moment, that connection, that spiritual encounter that he had that really, I see it on him all day. He seems like an older, wiser, chiller, calmer. I can follow this guy into battle. Now, I've always seen that in him, but I think many people who were reticent of him in the beginning, they were like, oh, I don't like all that bravado. I loved it. I thought he was hysterical. I thought he was great. I loved that he fought back. And I think so many of his fans in the base did. But those that weren't fans, I think, learned to respect him after that moment, saying, man, this guy's the real deal. You just got literally almost killed. And he didn't know. You could see it in his face. He didn't know if he was dead or not. He was, if I'm alive for a few more minutes, I'm telling everybody to fight because this can't end here. That's a love for America.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, the fact that he got right up and said, fight, fight, fight. I mean, most people, you don't know how you'd react in that type of situation. Everyone plays things through their mind and they think they know how they're going to react, but you don't. And most people would have been, shuffled off through Secret Service. Trump was like, wait, I got to get my shoes first. And then I want to say something to the crowd. Truly amazing. But one of the things that actually does concern me about this administration is that we still don't know anything today more about the first assassination attempt and the second assassination attempt than we did when they happened. And that is concerning because, you think that we get people like Kesh Patel, Dan Bongino in these positions. I'm not a fan of Pam Bondi, but whatever it is. The only one that seems to be trying to expose all the fraud and corruption within government has actually been Tulsi Gabbard. She has been someone that's declassifying information. She laid off 40% of the intel staff over at the ODNI, saying that it's too big, it's too bloated, it lost sight of its original mission, the original intent developed after 9/11. Do you think that the other agencies need to take a page out of Tulsi Gabbard's book to begin to downsize this beast that's been created within the bureaucracy?
Possibly. I'm going to say this. I think people are unique. And I think different people bring different strengths. The time that I spent working in the State House in New Jersey, I learned a lot. There are some people that can do some things, and there are other people that can do others. And I know that sounds like a Kamala Harris type of phrase. The school bus was yellow. But What I mean by that is, if you can't always interchange these people, right? So if you say, you know what, Trump is great, but let's put J.D. Vance in the White House, and let's move Trump to the Supreme Court. Just pretend you could do that. Do you think that would work? Clearly, and it's not a slight on Vance in any way. I'm just using him because he's VP. He's not Trump, right? Trump, literally, in my opinion, is the only guy that can pull off what he's pulling off right now. That we're 7 months into this administration. It seems like he's been there for 5 years, because he has this experience, he has the relationships, he's got the momentum, and he's got the fight that he can fight with the media. And I think he's beaten them down. He's won this fight. They tried to fire him, kill him, jail him. And instead, you've seen Alison Camerata, Andrew Cuomo's left the CNN network. I mean, it's something like a dozen people that are no longer on the air. Joy Reid, no longer on MSNBC. So if you tell me,
ratings have collapsed.
Right. You tell me who's keeping score. I say El Trumpito for the win. He is winning in all these categories. So I think there's a new respect there. And they're like, I don't want to mess with this guy. Clearly, I hate his guts. Clearly, he's the worst thing ever. But clearly, my job depends on him talking and me covering what he's saying. So I think that there's this new dynamic there. Now, I agree.
Let me just interrupt you a second, because you've been in the media for a while, okay? And you have a lot of, I don't want to say journalists, but they pose themselves as journalists that never had access to President Biden. I mean, they never had access to any president like they have access to President Trump.
Sure.
Do you think that despite their hatred of Trump, they actually appreciate him because he's constantly answering questions, constantly talking to the press, holding press conferences, something that I've never seen any other president do at the level that Trump does? And do you think that there are some in the far left of the media that have come to realize, well, I'd rather have access and all this information than what we had under the last administration was being totally shut out, and we have to conspire to cover up Biden's cognitive decline?
200% yes. I think that's it. You see it clearly. First time around, you saw guys like Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, the Young Turks. Now I see Anna Kasparian, it sounds like she's me, on certain issues. I'm like, how'd that happen? Because why? She's Armenian. And then Trump just made peace with Armenia. And guess what? That stuff runs real deep. And as much as you don't like the guy, you love your family, you love your heritage, you love your homeland, right? So I think Trump he's doing him, and it's working for everyone. And I think people are realizing that. But the point I was making was, I love what Tulsi's doing. I love what Dan is doing. I love what they're all doing. I just don't know that everybody can do everything in every capacity. I think the things that Cash brings, Cash is this brilliant mind of being able to figure out deep statery, if you will, right? He's just so good at that. He gets it well. He's a great investigator. He excelled in that as National Security Advisor in Congress and the chief investigator there under Devin Nunes. And he's doing it again. But again, he's facing what Trump faced. Right? You just walk in, hey, I'm the new director in the FBI. And they're like, oh, yes, Mr. Director. You think they care? They don't care. They're like, oh, look at this guy. He's going to put us all in jail if he finds where the bodies are buried. So they're obviously playing defense all the way and going on offense against him. And he's got to do a lot of cleaning up. And despite one having power, and again, I say this from the small position I had a sub-cabinet position in Christie's administration. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter. If they know more than you, that's their turf. You're in their swamp. So they start moving you to the side and doing this and doing that. Now, every now and again, you get a player who assimilates quickly to the home rule, and Trump, Gabbard, and others, and everybody's in their lane. So, I mean, I think overall, I give this administration an A+ because they've cranked out so much work on every level, on the political level, on the policy level, on the international affairs level, on the economic level, in just a short amount of time. That makes me think these midterms, I don't want to say I'm not feeling nervous, but if they were today, I don't feel nervous.
Well, I'll talk about the midterms in a minute, but one thing that you did say that I will point out is when you look at the bureaucracy, you're right. Bureaucrats are extraordinarily powerful. People don't realize how powerful they are. And if we just look to the last election, 86% of all donations to the presidential election from federal bureaucrats went to Kamala Harris. So it does show you what they're up against in these agencies and departments. And we see the games being played at the CDC today.
And the courts.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But we need to take a quick break. And when we get back, I do want to talk about midterms. I want to talk about Mamdani, because I know you love him. You're a big supporter of his. Everyone hang tight. We'll be right back. Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain and stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Well, discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers. These are the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. They provide maximum benefits, and Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. It doesn't clump, it absorbs fast thanks to its peptide formula. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a brand you could trust. They offer an 800 number for any questions you may have, and then you'll speak to a real person who's there to help. Visit getnativepath.com/PAS and start your transformation today. That's getnativepath.com/PAS. Welcome back to the PAS Report. Now, if you like the podcast, if you find the podcast informative, make sure that you give it a 5-star rating. Take 30 seconds, write a good review, particularly on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share this episode with others. Everyone needs to hear Rich Valdes' voice, host of America at Night. You need to check him out. Rich, so before the break, we're looking at the midterms. There's a lot of doom and gloom coming from the left and the media outlets that we are an authoritarian country, that Trump is a dictator, he's a fascist, that Republicans will lose the midterm elections, which I'm like, well, if he's a fascist, how could he lose the midterm elections? I mean, in fascist societies, everything's pretty much rigged. But in any event, when it comes to the midterm elections, Congress, where are the Republicans? I mean, there are so many bills that they could introduce on the 80-20 issues like voter ID, like I said earlier. Just put it up for a vote. I know it's not going to pass the Senate. You need 7 Democrats to cross sides, and that's if every Republican votes in lockstep. But why not put these things to vote and get the Democrats on record where they stand? Do you think that the Republicans in Congress are not moving enough when it comes to things like legislation, some of Trump's appointments, and trying to get Democrats on the record of where they stand on these issues?
Yeah, good point. And I love that energy, and we need to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to those things. Again, to play devil's advocate, or to just the way I see it, I also think Genius Act, anti-CBDC bill, the Clarity bill, the Big Beautiful bill. There's been a bunch of bills that have moved plenty that I think it is breakneck speed. We get used to it, and we're like,
and I think Mike
what about
Johnson's
this? What about
one of the
this?
most
What about
underrated speaker of the houses that ever exists, Mike Johnson.
Absolutely. Listen, he is putting in that work. And everybody's like, oh, Rubio and Vance and this. I think if Mike Johnson decided to run for president, I think he'd be a force to be reckoned with. He's a very skilled politician, and he's got a lot of power. And that's good. And he knows how to use it. And he's doing the right thing, in my opinion. Now, I also realize politics is real, right? There's that whole real piece. I want to do this. Nope. I got this on you. I got that. I need this. You said you were going to do that for me last time. I had you on that. We did this. Now you got to do this for me. Right? Those things happen, and they're real as part of the game. Right? So sometimes you say, all right, let's go to committee. Let's go to this. And they go, dead in committee. Why? Because I don't like you. Why? Because you smash, Shorty that was smashing, and that's how that works. So I don't like you. And there's all sorts of reality in real life that we don't take into account, the pettiness that goes into politics that we're not doing the math for. So sadly, these things do happen. So I'm not saying anybody in particular is doing anything, untoward, but I am saying that there are things that, it's not all what we see on TV. So I think we're going to see more of that. I think July and August are a wash. It's amazing that we saw as much activity out of Washington as we did in July and August, with everybody being in district. Now, I think come September, October, we're going to see a lot of things coming out of Washington, in particular things that are going to, again, Trump's on that next level, right? So I think he's going to make sure the legislative calendar and everything else that they're doing matches up with where he can have other strategic wins. Trump has no interest in New York, but I think he loves New York, so he has an interest in New York, right? So we want to make sure that we pave the way for Elise Stefanik, and we give her the best bills that are going to make her the best candidate to become governor of the state of New York, despite whatever issues he has with Curtis Sliwa. I think he wants the best man in New York City to win, and in my opinion, that's Curtis Sliwa. Nobody's going to do a better job than Curtis Sliwa in New York City. Is it a reality? Not yet. Can it be one? I think so. It's a clear path. I was listening to Errol Lewis from Inside City Hall and Brian Lehrer from NPR. And they were having this discussion on the numbers and saying, Curtis gets 32, 33, 35%, and these guys fight over that other piece. He wins if his number's higher than theirs. That's a reality. Brett Schundler won the Jersey City election that way. He went against 6 Democrats, slid right into City Hall, did a great job as mayor, got reelected. Beautiful reelection. I see this totally working out for Curtis. The fact that we have this new person, I'm going to call him a Johnny Come Lately, and I didn't mean to get into New York, but we're here. This Johnny Come Lately, a Cuban immigrant that is a biotech billionaire or whatever it is, guy's from Miami. Why he's running for mayor in New York City, I have no idea. I'm sure on any other day I'd say, oh, what a nice guy. I love you. Yeah, come on the show. Today I say, bro, kick rocks. That's not how this works, right? You don't see a real New Yorker doing the right thing, running for in this hard fought election, and then let me decide to get in this race and mess things up. So I think that the point I'm making is the fact that that's happening is not good for Republicans. It's good for Democrats. So Democrats are likely behind this one way or another. If I were a Democrat and I saw this billionaire guy, it's like, I hate communists. I'd be like, bro, send that guy $5,000, right? Let him keep talking because he's going to undercut Curtis. So I realized that I feel like they're pulling out all the stops. You've got Mamdani talking about $65 billion outside of an office he's creating just for transgenders in the Department of Education. And he wants $65 million to go towards gender affirming care.
Yeah, just so the audience is completely
school.
aware, in New York City, it costs $40,000 per year per student to educate. And the reality is that they perform extremely low when it comes to the proficiency levels, where only a quarter of New York City students are proficient at grade level in the subject material. It's completely ridiculous. But before I jump all into the mayor's race, what do you think is Trump's biggest challenge today?
The same challenges he's always had. The deep state is still there, despite he catches a fly here, he does this, he swats them, he points them out, which is the biggest thing, pointing them out so that the body politic says, oh, there are people that are actively working against Trump. This deep state is a real thing. It's not a fake thing. I think when they realize there is an administrative state that is aligned against the interests of the country, then that's something that doesn't go anywhere. We talk about draining the swamp. The swamp can't be drained. You can try and clean it up. You skim the top. You get rid of some of the critters. You spray a fogger, but it's the swamp, right?
Trump's like shocking the pool.
He's
That's
shocking
what Trump
the pool,
is like.
right? Trump is shocking the pool, exactly. I don't know. I mean, how would you do it? I mean, you're talking Capitol Hill police officers. You're talking about D.C. City Council people. It's going to take a lot more than 7 months to drain any swamp. You have to replace these people with other capable, trusted people. And it's not like, hey, you're out, you're in. There's elections that have to be. I mean, so the reality is there's judges.
Well, I would also start moving departments and agencies outside of Washington, D.C., because
I think we're going to see
there are
some
a lot
of
of progressives that would never want to live in some of those places.
Oh, yeah. Wyoming, right? That'd be great. So I think the biggest challenge he faces remains the deep state. And the other challenge is fecklessness. I think Trump sees things a certain way and he's like, oh, somebody told me the other day, they're like, one of the things I noticed about Trump is that no matter what it is, whatever problem you bring to the table, he doesn't go, oh, man. He goes, all right, well, he immediately comes up with the workaround. He sees every problem as something that can be solved. That's an innate thing for him. I think a lot of people look at there's no way we can win. He's not that guy. We can win. And when you look at things that way, you come up with answers. I think the problem is there's many people that are just unlike him. So you're trying to motivate a bunch of people to be like, no, of course we can do that. Yeah, we can do this. Sure, we can create the crypto capital of the world in the United States. And yeah, we could do it tomorrow. Watch. All you got to do is this. And they're like, what? Yeah, we could stop all these wars. Yeah, we could do all that. So I think getting people, even his own people, on board is not always, it's a little bit of a herding cats type of thing sometimes. But those are the challenges, and they're not bad ones.
100%. And we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to wrap it up. We'll talk about the New York City mayor's race and whether or not Mamdani becomes the face of the Democrat Party. So everyone hang tight. We'll be right back. Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain and stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Well, discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers. These are the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. They provide maximum benefits. And Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. It doesn't clump, it absorbs fast thanks to its peptide formula. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a brand you could trust. They offer an 800 number for any questions you may have, and then you'll speak to a real person who's there to help. Visit getnativepath.com/PAS and start your transformation today. That's getnativepath.com/PAS. Welcome back to the P.A.S. Report podcast. And I'm with Rich Valdes, host of America at Night. Everyone needs to check it out. Follow him on X at Rich Valdes with an S, not a Z. And you'll be happy you do. So, Rich, New York City mayor's race, this actually is a race that has national implications. This is not like one of those localized races. This is a race that's garnering national attention. You have Mondani, the former emperor of New York in Cuomo. You have Curtis Sliwa, who is New York. I mean, let's be honest. Out of all the candidates, there's no one more New York than Curtis Sliwa. And then you have Mayor Eric Adams. Do you think that it's time for Adams? I mean, he's polling the lowest out of all the candidates, and his support is not going to go to Cuomo or Mondani. Do you think it's time Mayor Adams rethink his election bid?
Listen, I would love to say yes, but I don't think that's the answer. I don't think he goes anywhere. I believe that Mayor Adams does have the power of incumbency. I believe that Mayor Adams has his fingers like this. He's on his knees. He's in prayer every day saying, please, Lord, let President Trump send a bunch of ICE people here. Let him send the HSI. Let him send the Federal Protective Service. Let us have an uprising of some sort where he can come quell that violence. I can stand next to him and we can say, we did this, New York, and come vote for me, New York. I think that's what he's praying for, and I don't think he's going anywhere. Second scenario B is I think that he may very likely make a deal with Cuomo. I think if either of those guys think, if we get together, we take out this crazy commie and the guy with the red hat, if they believe they can make a deal, they're going to make a deal. More so on Adams, less so on Cuomo. I truly have zero. There's not a part of me that believes that Andrew Cuomo wants to live in Gracie Mansion or be the mayor of the city of New York. Andrew Cuomo wants to stay relevant because I think he wants to run for president. He sees a wide open field, and honestly, I think he'll do well there. People laugh at me when I say, if you don't find someone to really challenge Newsom, Newsom's going to be the guy in 28 because he's building. And when you Google the guy, if you're independent and you Google him and you see that he's done interviews with a couple of conservative influencers, you're like, oh, how bad could he be? He's, middle of the road kind of guy. So I think Newsom is making the moves you need to make to do what he wants to do. Cuomo,
Without a doubt.
Yeah, Cuomo, I think, can have that appeal. I think he can, well, I'm from New York. I did this. He can do it. He can go in there and sell it and say, look, I'm not AOC. I'm not these people. I am my father, right? He can sit here and sell this story that, the JFK Democrats might say, okay, maybe we're back. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think
I don't know. He killed a lot of old people sending the COVID patients to the nursing home.
I'll tell you this, brother. I talked to so many people. It's my first question. What do you think about, this thing with these bad decisions that killed old people? And they're like, what are you talking about? I mean, how underreported that was and how people do not associate that, especially outside of New York. Outside of New York, this guy's like a rock star.
Well, and the crazy part is on the left side of the party, they care more about Cuomo be sexually harassing female staff than they do about the old people. And I'm like, well, both are bad, but the killing of the old people was terrible.
To counter that and to get the left-wing support, he can say, look, I defunded the police. We cut the $2 billion or whatever it was. We decided to sign that law with no cash bail, cashless Cuomo, right? He wears that like a badge of honor. So I really think that, I don't know. I don't think he's I think if he played his cards right, he can do well. I don't think he's playing his cards right, so I don't think he's going to do well. So
yeah,
that being
I don't
said,
really see him actually actively campaigning the way you would think someone who wants it would campaign. Right. But in any event, when we look at Mamdani, I mean, the guy is a straight up fraud, live in rent-controlled apartment as he comes from a wealthy background. He is someone that you would think would appreciate the United States, given what the United States offered to him and his family and the success that him and his family found here, the land of opportunity, and yet he denigrates the United States every which way he can. I do agree with you. I think that if Republicans wake the F up and they're smart, if you get a certain amount to turn out and it's a four-way vote, Sliwa does have the chance to get in. But unfortunately, Republican apparatus in a lot of places isn't all that bright. However, when it comes to Mamdani, if he wins, do you think it almost guarantees Elise Stefanik beating Hochul in 28?
Potentially. And I got to say, I really, truly believe Curtis Sliwa is going to be the next mayor of the city of New York. I don't see a path forward from Mamdani, despite everything that's going on. I know that there are 5 PACs, 5 political action committees that are coming in at the behest of big banks that are afraid of what he's going to do to their business in the city. It's cheaper for them to hire these PACs than it is to move to Jersey or somewhere else. And I think when you start to see the beating that he's going to get, his unfavorable right now, I think is around 38%. I think that unfavorable is going to go up 48.
Well, I need to ask you, because you're someone that knows the area well. Does he really have this high level of support? When I looked at his contributions coming into his campaign, it's all from out of state. It's not New Yorkers giving him money.
Listen, he's the fundraising for last month came in. Curtis Sliwa beat him in fundraising with matching funds. They came in again yesterday. He did outraise Curtis, but by a fraction. And again, everybody's pulling money from out of state. Curtis comes on my show, and I've got callers from all over the country that are like, I'm on an automatic donate thing. I love this guy. And they're sending money too, because people realize that New York is this little petri dish of America that they're going to try and experiment every last communist cause there, and it's coming to their backyard. But the fact that you've got Curtis Sliwa with $4 donations, I think he had 4,400 donors to get that money. Mamdani's getting the checks from these people. So yes, you're right. It's AstroTurf. This is not grassroots. The people don't care. I put a comment somewhere, and again, this is anecdotal, but I put a comment saying I'm with Curtis, and it was about this Cuban guy, this tech billionaire that's running for mayor as well, this anti-communist guy, and I said I'm going with the guy that was born in New York City and who's been doing this for 46 years. And I caught some hate there. And the hate is funny to see, but more hate, I got a lot of love. A lot of people are signing on board saying, yep, me too. I'm with Curtis. So it makes me think that there's a lot of people that, and again, we're in late August. We still haven't seen September and October, which is really where this is going to be decided. And I think when you have these 5 PACs that are going to be hitting Mamdani and get that favorable to north of 50%, I talked with one pollster. He said the minute that hits 60, whomever is the best attacker of Mamdani, whether it be Adams, whether it be Cuomo, whether it be Sliwa, is going to be the next mayor.
Well, and they would be smart to continue on the hypocrisy of Mamdani, the socialist that, scams and lives off, the idea
$65 billion to turn your kids into a transsexual in the public school.
It just doesn't work. And yet, why the ideas like this are just completely bananas. In any event, everyone needs to check out America at Night with Rich Valdes. Great program. Rich, always enjoy the conversation. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, brother. God bless you. Great show.
Thank you for listening to the P.A.S. Report. Don't forget to rate, share, and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll never miss an episode. For more exclusive content and updates, visit us at PASreport.com and follow Professor Giordano on all social media platforms at P.A.S. Report.